Not at all. I mean, I heard that talks about me not being me being upset about their contracts and them offering Kyrie. I always, since day one, first of all, I never walk into any GM office or coach office to demand anything. Tell them to sign anybody or run a play for me, or I come in and do my job as a player, which is to be coachable, work as hard as I can, and be available. So a lot of people got that in their minds is that I control everything here with the Nets, and I only control my job, and my job is to be a player. And I felt like their relationship, they had to figure that out on their own. I'm not the liaison between Kyrie and the organization, and I always told them that. I always told Sean and Kyrie, I got to build y'all relationship how y'all do it, because everybody's separate, everybody's different. You approach each player differently. So I didn't want to get in between that. Whatever they negotiated, I had no talks in it. I let them handle that. So my whole thing was I wanted everybody to be held accountable for their habits as a basketball player every day. And I think a lot of stuff was getting swept under the rug because we're injured or this guy's not around or just the circumstances. I thought we could have fought through that a little bit more and focused on the guys that were here a little bit more. You know, when I went out with the injury, we lost 10 in a row. And I'm like, we shouldn't be losing some of these games that we lost, regardless of who on the floor. So I was more so worried about how we're approaching every day as a basketball team. And I felt like we could have fought through a lot of the stuff that I felt that held us back. And championship teams do that. You've seen it. Steph Curry and the Warriors, he was injured going into the playoffs. Their team still, fought and won games. Luka, he was hurt. Their team still fought and won games. And I felt like we had enough talent to do that. And that's what was, rose some doubt up in my mind is that when adversity hit, can we keep pushing through it? And I've been on championship teams. I've been on teams that have been right at the brink of winning the championship. And they did those things. So I want to be a part of a group that did that. Winning and losing, I can take all of that. I've been in the league for a long time. So it's not more so about just the result. It's like how we get to that point. And I wasn't feeling how we was getting to that point. And I didn't want it to affect the game, so I waited to the off season to, tell people how I felt. It's just a matter of like team building, just each guy, coming together. I mean, I know it's hard, but I think we could have, fought through it like I said and did the hard thing, which is to continue to keep coming together, play, winning basketball every single play. And, I didn't like the fact that it's like, well, when KD come back, I was just like, well, I get it. I know I can affect the game so much, but like, what about these other guys that got an opportunity to, maybe showcase what they can do, but also help the team in a different way. So when I come back, I can jump on their train and help them, instead of them, adapting to me again. So I just felt like that's what great teams do. I've been a part of some great groups, and regardless of me being in the lineup or out, or a guy, just not just me, any guy being in and out the lineup, the train keep going, So I felt like we could have did that better, and Steve agreed with me, So the stuff that I was saying wasn't like we were all on different pages with it. We all agreed that we should be doing the same stuff. So, so I'm glad that we was able to talk through it, and we all figure out that that's what we need to do to be forget a championship, to just be a good team, a respectable team. And I feel like we don't have any respect out there on the court, and that's what I want for us, is a respect amongst the NBA community as a team of how we play on both ends of the floor, from GM all the way down to the equipment manager. I want that respect, and I think that's what you do that by how you work every single day. And we skipped some steps in how we worked throughout that year last year because of the circumstances, vaccine mandates, people disgruntled, injuries. I felt like we could have just kept pressing forward, and that's what I try to do as a player. I'm not preaching something that I don't practice. Like, I come in here, every rep matters to me, so I want everybody to feel the same way.
What up, YouTube? It's your boy Banks, and we back in the building. You feel me? It's True Talks, cause True Talks. All right, let's get straight right into it. So you already know, obviously, training camp started this week. Started on Monday. Media day was obviously Monday. Some teams like the Warriors, Bucks, and some teams had their media day on Sunday. But media day obviously they're gonna ask the tough questions, everything that's been happening over the summer, kind of like you know, um, it's like it comes full circle, and we're gonna ask you about it. And it's up to you to dodge the question, dodge the smoke, or actually talk about it and actually enlighten the fans and just the media and just the NBA fan base about you know the actual truth behind whatever is happening and what your thoughts were and actually what was going on. So that's kind of what media day is always about, especially in terms of like controversy or any type of big, thing that has happened over the summer is always going to be brought up, and you can't really dodge it. And it's up to you as a player. So this is why part of the reason why especially like Katie and Kyrie, when it comes to them, I've always, especially when they speak, you can always kind of okay, you know what? They're not the type to really cap fully. They're not the type to really talk in code and do that whole PR type of answer and stuff like that. They actually get into the nitty gritty and they're gonna be transparent. This is why them, especially Katie on Twitter and stuff like that. You already know Kyrie's Kyrie. You know what I mean? He's his own man. So that's why I always appreciate Katie and Kyrie, especially they were asked the tough questions and they were very transparent. Kyrie talking about how he turned down 100 mil plus contract, because they wanted him to be vaccinated in order to get that extension, and he turned it down and essentially lost that, and now he's in contract year, and obviously it's a tough pill to swallow. So he talked about things that are behind the scenes that obviously we're not privy to. So he didn't have to do that, but being transparent, these are guys that are just gonna be honest. And honestly, like that's like you commend and tip your hat off to those type of people because you don't have to. You could play the whole, PR and talking code, and we have to now put it together to kind of understand and use IQ to, fill fill out, the tea leaves and just make sense of everything. So, especially Katie also again too, you're seeing the clip where we're just going right into the context because I give it that context. Let's go straight right into it. Obviously, you tuned in, you seen the clip, and with Katie talking about his real reason about, or behind why he, demanded a trade or asked for a trade or whatever, right? Um, I obviously was wrong. A lot of us was wrong. I was right, but wrong at the same time. I knew that. I could just tell that it was obviously a culture change. I thought that, if you've been following me and if you've been preying and just seeing, the videos and just my explanation, obviously we're putting it together. We don't have any sense or any actually idea of what actually is happening just based off reports and is this true, is that true, is this not true. But, you know, KD clearly was adamant that him and Kyrie doing his thing and his contract and with the actual organization with Joe and all of them is definitely separate from KD demanding a trade. Even though the timeline happened, that's where kind of like I understand where he's coming from, and it's not like, oh, he's capping, right? I know you can kind of tell when a man is capping or not. I think there's obviously very, very much truth into what he's saying, but just me, just hearing what he's saying and then seeing obviously the timeline and seeing what's happening again. I don't put too much stock into reports because obviously they could fake it, they could do whatever, but there's truth behind it. It's not like he denied the reports. So now that I look at the timeline, it happening after Kyrie, I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back. So maybe we read it as okay, because Kyrie didn't get signed, now it's like enough is enough, right? Some of it could possibly be true, but it's not like it's that alone isolated. It's a lot of things happening prior that he's explaining in the interview where I can kind of see the frustration, especially how adamant and how amped he was. Like he was trying, like games where they would face the Raptors, right? And there was no Kyrie, there's no James Harden, and like he's winning. They were actually winning games with just KD. Like Kessler Edwards was stepping up and stuff like that. If you were paying attention, like without the other two superstars and without bare guys, they were still winning when KD was on the floor because KD treated it as if it was like the same as if when there is there. It's not like, oh, we're just gonna lose. Like, and that's correlating to what he's saying, where it's like there should be a certain type of brand of basketball that we can win winnable games regardless of who's on the floor. If we have a great culture, a great structure, and just a great, just everything in place from top to bottom. And he's been with Golden State where that's the case, and that's hence the reason why they were winning, right? And you can see he's gonna take great things that from where he has been and apply it to a new culture where he's going to build something similar. Like a lot of things that they're doing in Brooklyn is very similar to Golden State. The free flowing offense coming off pin downs, a lot of ball movement, body movement, just actions happening all the time. People just talk about the ISOs. He's doing best of both, where Golden State relied on just the ball movement and the actions that when the ISOs came until KD came there, that's when they were kind of both. But they have the ability to do both with a plethora of people, which is why he feels and they probably feel, and that's why they kind of parted ways with James Harden, because James Harden, obviously, he wants the ISO 24/7. They want the actions, and the ISO only dictates dependent on how the defense is played. So a lot of people don't see that. They just see ISO, 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 and they think that they didn't run bare actions in that play. Just they switched everything and forced ISO, which is what people did to Golden State as well, too, is just because it's Brooklyn, you don't see that. I don't know, whatever. Anyways, the point is just how they operate in their actions. Steve Nash was also in Golden State as well, too. You could see that's why Steve Nash also agreed with what Katie was saying, because it's not that. And that's also what I was right about, too. I'm like, I know Katie and Steve Nash aren't at odds. Just because he said, I want them fired, it was more so a play, right? And you can kind of tell that. So a lot of things that I was saying was correct, but I was off a little bit on about it just being isolated on just the Kyrie, KD, or the Kyrie saga in terms of the contract. But I still think that it did play a part, but it wasn't everything. It was kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back. But everything leading up, when they were not winning and they were winning with KD, it was always like, okay, we gonna lose because KD's not here. Then when he comes back, we gonna win, and that's not what great teams do. You seen with Kawhi when he was with the Raptors, right? Even though Kawhi was out, they could still win. You seen when KD was out with Golden State, they could still win. When Curry's out with Golden State, they could still win. When LeBron was out in Miami, they could still win. Like, when you have plethora of talent at this level, maybe back in the day it was like that, when you have it's top heavy and stuff like that. But when you have a plethora of talent, a lot of skilled guys, a system that's free flowing and it's interchangeable, obviously you're hella elite with your main guys. That's why they're the main guys. But if a 1-2 guy is out because of the system, because of things at play, you should still be able to win games where you're facing bad teams. That's what he's talking about. If you're losing games or you're close in and losing games versus great teams, we understand it. That's a different monster you're dealing with. But to be losing winnable games versus like bad teams and you're getting slapped, like that's unacceptable, especially if you're trying to build a championship culture, because if this guy gets injured, like you're going to have to deal with that. And that's why you could see where he was frustrated and how it was kind of like all on KD's back in the second round when James Harden and Kyrie was injured. Like, other guys should still be stepping up. Other guys should still be hitting shots. Other guy, like, you know what I mean? Because you're not used to that throughout the whole season. That's why in those moments, it was KD or die, literally, right? So, and you could see where he was like, okay, we're just injured. But then it was even worse now the next year when that you have the unvaccinated, you have the vaccine status with Kyrie, then you have a lot of different things, injuries, disgruntled, like you said, with James Harden. And it kind of was like, yo, mans aren't really trying to hoop like that. They're not taking it fully serious like how I'm taking it. And so he wanted a culture shift, and it's like, I can't do this for 4 years when this is them. Like, I'm in my prime, but I'm out of my prime if you want to look at it, right? It's like I'm just elite that my prime is extended, but the 4 years matter if I'm trying to really, do some damage in terms of legacy. I'm trying to shift some things. I'm trying to maybe three-peat. I'm trying to like do some things to just put me in a whole new status and just change. You know what I mean? It's not I'm trying to have 2 rings and that's it. Like, I'm not trying to do that, yo. He's taking it serious. So you could see that, like, that's what kind of stood out to me, that like, okay, I was correct, that like Manzer, Katie, they really want to three-peat. They really want to do something special, right? And just stamp their legacy and stamp their name in terms of just, they're already stamped, but like stamp it even further. Like, I'm not just a elite scorer. I want to be known as a winner and this and that, and like put myself in the top 5, right? And all that type of stuff. So, it's a different conversation that you're having, right? When you look at it from that perspective. So now it's literally was isolated from Kyrie. Like, these are contentions that I've had throughout the season. This is things that like I was like, this is not working. This is why he named other teams that like are stable in terms of that's who I want to get traded to, is just literally like sending a message. And he knew, like he said, that like at the end of the day, people and this roster is getting better. He likes what Sean Marks is doing, and him taking that stance. Remember, before he demands a trade, people already knowing what he's been thinking. Like he's been saying this all year is what he's clearly saying and stating, which you can kind of see. So now when they make their moves, they're already going to make moves like I'm going to sign Royce O'Neal. I'm going to sign a defensive guy. We already have Ben. You know Joe's coming back. I'm going to sign TJ Warren so we have scoring in case one of these guys go down. You know what I mean? So you could kind of see that they were in talks. It wasn't like he just isolated himself, demanded a trade, and then now they're just helter skelter, like what people were thinking, right? There was always a conversation. There was always communication. So it wasn't like a shock to the Nets as much as it felt like it was a shock towards us. And that's kind of was the insight and enlightenment that I got from, Katie's explanation about what happened, during the off season. And it was very transparent, very real. Most people don't even talk like that when they're asked this type of question. They're just kind of like, demanding a trade and, I wanted to, do da and just a kind of PR answer. They're not going to really, go into the nitty gritty of how they felt in the moment and everything. Like, so I appreciated that. I was just like, yo, these guys are these guys. This is why, like, they are who they are. Like, especially Katie and Kyrie, even on Kyrie's side, talking, like, just being very transparent. Like, that's why I've always rated them. I don't know how you could hear what they talk about, them being transparent on Twitter, like talking to people, and you actually be like, oh, they're sensitive. And I'm like, dog, a sensitive man wouldn't talk like this and wouldn't explain stuff like this to this magnitude. You know what I mean? Like, I was amazed about the transparency. I was just amazed, in terms of like, okay, now it's like there's no okay, but if there's no putting things together. He just literally put it how it is. But again, like I said, I still think Kyrie, contract not necessarily had a lot to do with it in what people thought in terms of like, I'm out because you didn't do that, right? But it's more so like it's uncertainty. Now Kyrie's also uncertain with the contract. Like, this enough is enough kind of thing. Like, I was already uncertain with this and this and this and this and this, getting swept and we looking soft and this and this and this and all these things. And y'all just how y'all moved within the year. Y'all didn't have to do this and this and this and this. We could have done this and done this better. And on top of that, now you're being like, you don't even know what you're going to do with Kyrie. Like, you're uncertain with that. That's like, all right, yo, I already wasn't happy, but that's like, no, I need to do something to like, if I'm going to be here, it's only going to be shift the culture, which is what I always thought he was actually doing. It's like he knew what the roster was. He kind of knew maybe he might not be traded. That's why he said he appreciated Sean Marks and whatever he knew. He kind of knew. But if I'm going to stay here, a lot of things going to change. We're not doing that shit that we've been doing. So I was right in that sense, kind of like reading it like I'm going to shift some things. Like, a lot of shit going to change because, yo, what y'all doing is fugazi, right? Obviously, it's not centered around Kyrie, but it's a lot of things leading up to that. So, so again, hearing that, forget like whether I was right or wrong now, or like just people, a lot of us was wrong. So, again, tip your hat off where, just give credit where credit is due, and just Kyrie and Katie, especially Katie, doing what he did isolated of Kyrie. And you can know that it's isolated because Kyrie was like, it was awkward and stuff like that. So it's like not like Kyrie fully knew. He had to explain it to him, obviously. But it's not like, yo, you do this and I do this. That's kind of what I thought it was originally. But no, it definitely wasn't that. You can kind of see, and they're not going to cap and lie about that because, again, they're transparent. They're not that type of character. That's not their character, right? So when you look at it from that perspective, man, when it's like you can kind of just see now moving forward, and what you get from what he's saying is that they're locked in. Hence why Kyrie, is padding in runs. He's actually locking up in runs, right? Like taking defensive seriously. You heard him on Twitch with Kai Kanad and all of them. Like, you know what I mean? He's actually telling them like, yo, I'm locked in. Like, defensively, that can't happen. Like, there's a conversation that's happening, a culture shift. Like, we're not gonna be soft. We're gonna lock in defensively. We're gonna pad. Like, we're gonna like. That's what Golden State was doing. We gonna do. Like, you have to lock in. You have to lock in. Every rep matters. Like, you have to lock in. Ben Simmons. Like, we're all gonna lock in for real. Like, it ain't no joke. And it's a culture shift. So you can kind of see that. Okay, you know what? They for real. When I thought they were really locked in, that wasn't nothing. Now they really locked in, like, and that gives me signs that, like, yo, what y'all thought y'all saw that was elite was not nothing to what you're really gonna see. And this year is gonna be very special. I could sense it. I could just sense it because that sweeping that happened, them getting swept was the best thing that could ever happen. Like, as much as, like, in hindsight or in the moment, it was like, God damn, y'all, yo, I was rooting for you and like, oh, yo, wrong bangs, this, that. It was the best thing that could ever happen. It was the best thing that can ever happen. For a long term success, if they're to have it, if they want to repeat, win a ring first and foremost, then repeat or three-peat or do things that they can do to shift historic conversations. This needed to happen, and it always happens like that in so many things. Like when with Kobe, when they repeated, even with Gasol, they needed to lose in the finals. Like Gasol needed to get flogged by KG. He needed to get humbled and get abused and treated like he was soft for him to shift and move differently. Now the repeat happened. Like certain things needed to happen with every team when they win. Certain things need to happen for you to be like, okay, you know, with Curry for them to even get KD and stuff like that. They needed to lose, you know, a 3-1 lead, and when they won 73 games, they needed something drastic to happen to, like, all right, we were joking it out. We need to really shift things. You need some humbling experience to literally make you lock in even further. And that's what that was. That Boston, when this is all said and done, you're going to see. When this is all said and done, they're going to do a documentary on, like, yo, when they got swept, how it was feeling, how it was so, and then this whole KD trade, and then now, boom, now they locked it. Like, I can sense it. I can just sense it, you know what I'm saying? So, like, it is what it is. We'll see. We're going to do a season prediction, obviously. We're going to do that, you know what I mean, and see what's going on and see what's happening. We're going to see, you know, who my favorites are in the East, who my favorites are in the West, kind of my predictions, obviously, just a season preview. Like, obviously, you're going to do the seed and stuff like that. I don't know how accurate that's going to be, but if I have to just do my IQ and reading the tea leaves, seeing what the rosters are looking like, there's still guys who are unsigned. I think the Nets might maybe they might go and sign a Dwight. I do think they need a big man, but maybe they might go some small ball. Maybe, I don't know what they're going to do, but they do need an insurance policy. But, you know, maybe it's time to elevate the Dayron Sharps, and maybe it's time for Clax to really elevate. You never know, right? So, you know, because it's young bodies, you don't want to have old heads who aren't having energy. Maybe they're going to do hybrid. You never know what they're going to do. So we'll see how that transpires. But again, just for the most part, I'm going to do predictions on that, and we're going to talk about it for real. So it's True Talks, because True Talks. Share, like, and subscribe. We out here. There's no doubt here. There's no drought here. You feel me? I appreciate y'all. You already know. Again, click that notification button so you know when I'm here, because I'm here. You feel me? Bro, it's going to be an elite season. I can't wait, man. Training camp obviously is on their way. Right now is currently happening, so we'll see how things transpire. You know, with preseason, we can kind of get a first kind of small sneak peek look at some of these starting lineups, some of these rotations, some of these, like, just the actions, how they move in, the first day of getting chemistry just for the public eye. So we'll see how that all, you know, transpires. So you already know it is what it is. Let's go, man. I'm excited. There's a lot of these teams are going to be solid, So I'm definitely excited for not even just that, the Raptors as well, too. I'm excited to see how Christian Koloko looks. Like, we're going to talk about a lot of this stuff. So tune in. You already know. It's True Talks, because True Talks. You feel me? I appreciate y'all. You already know. And I'm out, man.